Today we're going to talk about Oliver Tree's I'm Gone. Oliver Tree obviously passed away a couple of weeks ago in a tragic helicopter accident, which I still think is going to be a great Charlie Kaufman bit, and he's going to come back to life at some point. If that's not the case, obviously a horrible tragedy. And then we'll just let this be a sort of homage to his legacy and some of the cool songs that he's written. This is my favorite song of his. It's I'm Gone. I really like this one. It has a couple of really cool things going for it. It's got what I would call a midpoint bridge that we'll talk about. But let's fire up the intro and then we'll start talking about it.
You're a lyrical miracle, but nobody hears your stuff. You're a cynical bastard, but you slay on the guitar. Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Steal the song. Welcome to the pod. Welcome to the pod. Come sing along now. Steal the song. 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 Steal the song.
Welcome to Steal the Song, the podcast where we steal the techniques of the greatest songs of all time because stealing is the greatest form of flattery. I'm Freedom Fit, as a song creator, author, and head of holistic songwriting, where we unlock the source code of songwriting and production. Today we're looking at Oliver Tree's I'm Gone. The writers on this are very simply Oliver Tree and Sir Dylan. Both have taken on writer and producer roles here. Before we get into the verse, because the vocals start right away, I want you to pay attention to one line in particular, which is this one. This is 4 bars in. It's the line, "Please just tell me what you wanted," which I think is a really beautiful melodic choice, hitting an F over an E-flat major chord. In a pop song, I think is quite unusual. I really like it. To me, one of the coolest choices in this, and he's holding it for a long time as well. So let's give it a listen, and you can judge for yourself.
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want. Maybe I was wrong. Lately that's a lot. Is this what you wanted? Tell me what you need. Nothing comes for free. Please just tell me what you wanted. I want it less and less. I guess that this is...
So super expressive performance here, especially visually, right? The facial expressions are quite astounding, I think. But I love that choice here with that F against E flat. So it's a 9 over the chord. A very dreamy chord. Another thing that's quite interesting about this first verse, I think, is structurally, if you look at the energy curve, the energy actually goes down in the second half of the verse, so as the verse continued. So we start out with just guitar and vocals, and then the melody gets less busy, right? It goes da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, right? Very busy, a lot of 16th notes, and then it goes, I want it less and less, I guess. So a lot of 8th notes. Gets less busy. Actually, the energy goes down here. We also get an extra bar at the end of that. I think it's a D major chord. Should be a D major chord. That kind of leads us into the chorus. Usually we're trying to build up towards the chorus. Here, the opposite happens. Let's continue listening, and then we'll come back to that.
That's why I'm gone.
So that was the chorus. Here's what that would look like in notation. We have E flat, B flat, C minor for a chord progression. This is probably my favorite part about the song. I mean, I love the verses as well. I love that guitar lick there. I mean, anything that has guitars in them and anything with a little bit of tension, I love. And this has plenty of tension. Again, it's that F against E flat major. It's the guitar lick, which we'll talk about in a second. And then it's these 2 C minor chords. The chord progression above that, I think, would have been the obvious choice. E flat to B flat to D minor to G minor. That would have been the classic pop formula, I think. Would have been 4 to 1 to, 3 to 6. But what we actually get is 4, 1, 2, 2. And that 2, that Dorian chord there is quite interesting. I think it creates a lot of tension. And then it stays on it as well. It stays on it for such a long time. Until now, we've always heard 1 chord per bar, and now suddenly that changes and it's kind of being held for longer than we think it should go. And I really like that. I love that C minor chord there. It's my favorite thing in the whole song is the tension that provides. Melodically speaking, it's very simple. We have that ooh, ooh in the chorus, those backing vocals, which usually are tension release, right? So we have C to B flat, which is the 6th resolving to the 5th of the E flat chord. Then we have C to B flat, 2 resolving to 1. But then we get C minor, where it's actually 1 resolving to, not really resolving to, actually going to another sort of chord tone, the flat 7, right? So that one is definitely a little bit more tense. I really like this chorus. I think it's very strong. Again, my favorite thing being the C minor, but I also really like the ooh-oohs, which is great to sing along to live. It's a great hook that keeps returning 3 times in the chorus. Very strong. And I love how simple the melody is as well. It's just 8th notes. You know, we had a pretty heavy 16th note based verse, and now this is so simple, and it even ends on just quarter notes. Always find you. And it has a sort of dumb quality about it that I really like a little bit meatheady, you know. It reminds me of something like Bloodhound Gang back in the early 2000s, which also had like these very simple melodies, always 8th notes or quarter notes, and then paired with actually a tempo that was slightly too slow and that made it sound a little bit dumb. And that paired with his obviously crazy look, right? It gives the whole thing a really interesting vibe of this is who I am, take it or leave it. It's a little dumb, it's a little weird, but this is who I am. It feels very confident to me, very artistic in that sense. And I really like it. I think it's musically and image-wise very, very strong. If we take a look at the chord progressions so far, during the verse, we have actually heard a completely through composed chord progression of 2, 1, 3, 6, 5, 4, 1, 6, 5 of the 6, 5 of the 6. So again, it's a 9-bar chord progression. We have an extra bar there at the end prolonging the 5 of the 6. And then the 5 of the 6 doesn't actually resolve. We actually move to the 4 instead. So maybe it makes more sense to think of it as a 3 major that then shifts upward chromatically towards the 4. And then we have a chorus that goes 4, 1, 2, 2. Really interesting chord progression. I especially think it's very rare that we see a through composed verse with all unique chords, no repetition there. And we have 2 non-diatonic chords. We have a 5 minor and then that 5 of the 6, which doesn't technically resolve. So 2 quite odd choices. We'll take a closer look at that now when we listen to the guitars.
I'm running out of options. It happens way too often. I started running into problems again. It happens way too often for me to forget. It's easy.
So let's take a look at the guitars here. This is actually 4 bars that are being repeated twice with an extra bar there at the end. But that's already quite interesting because we know that the chords are through composed. So we have 9 unique chords, but the guitar part is the same thing twice. So we have the same guitar lick with different bass notes, and that changes the quality of the chords, right? So the first time we hear 2, 1, 3, 6, 5. So it's C minor, B flat, D minor, G minor, F minor. And then the second time it goes 4, 3, 6, and then 5 of the 6. So E flat, D minor, G minor, D major. So again, we have 2 non-diatonic chords in there. F minor with that A flat and the guitar, and then D major with an F sharp. F minor is a weird choice, I think. It's a Dorian sound, right? The 5 minor, and it doesn't really go anywhere. F minor to E flat isn't really anything. It's the 2 of that, I suppose. It's like a 2-5-1 where we leave out the 5, I guess. I'm not quite sure what's happening there, but it sounds cool. I like it. It's definitely a little bit weird. We have a polyrhythm going on here, right? We have ba da da ba da da ba da 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 da. So 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So we have a 4/4 time signature, but we're moving over that not in 2s or 4s, but in 3s. And that is pretty much carried out throughout the entire 4 bars. It's only in bar 4 that changes and we get something a little different. I'm not quite sure how I would group those melodies here. Maybe 2-2-4 or something like that, or 2-2-2-2. But that's essentially what's happening here. It's a really cool guitar riff. I especially like that rub between D and E flat, that minor second, that creates a lot of tension in this. And that's present throughout the entire riff, pretty much throughout the first 3 bars at least. And then on top of that, we just have a sort of melody going from B flat to A to D. But I don't know, I really like it. And at the end there, it's getting a little bit harmonic when we go from E to C to B flat to A flat. So there is a descending line there at the end. It's nicely composed, and again, it works over both of these chord progressions, which is what makes it work so well and what makes it sound so interesting to our ears. Let's go back to the production here. We've heard the first verse, we've heard the first chorus, which the drums move to a crash with the right hand. It's just 8th notes on the kick drum, snare on 2 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And also the bass comes in. We have some additional vocals, and we have that call and response with the ooh-oohs. And this whole section also ends on 2 extra bars. Then we move into verse 2 that we just heard, which works the same as verse 1, except we now have a chuggy 8th notes guitar on top of that. And again, we have an extra bar like in verse 1, where we stay on the D major a little bit longer. But here we're going to hear a new section. It is probably the most high energy section of the entire song in the middle of the song. So the way it's orchestrated is same as the chorus, but now we have some more distorted 8th note guitars. There's going to be some hits in there. So the band drops out and we have some and then the music comes back in. And this is the highest vocals of the entire song are here in the middle of the song. So this is quite unusual. Typically we'll save that until the very end of the song, until the finale, but here it's in the middle of the song. Let's give that a listen.
Easier said than done.
Okay, let's recap what we just heard there. We had that bridge with the highest vocals in the entire song, and then we went into another chorus, which works exactly the same as chorus 1, except now we have that single note distorted guitar being added to it. The first chorus, we just heard bass and drums essentially, and now we have that wah, 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 like on the 1, a guitar playing a single note, really high up the neck actually. That's really the only thing that the guitars are adding here. So as we continue listening, listen to that part, listen to the guitars, listen to the arrangement, right? Just drums, bass, and that single guitar just playing a single note. It's not playing full, rocky power chords as you would expect. It's really just playing a single note. And I think it works really, really well.
Tell me what you want. Maybe I was wrong. Lately that's
What's interesting about this too is if you look at that chord progression again, 4, 1, 2, is the note we hear all the time, the note the guitar plays is B flat, right? It's on the 1 of the key. So E flat, no problem. It's the 5th of that chord. B flat, it's the 1 of that chord. So that's all very consonant. But then we get to C minor. Again, those 2 very tense chords there at the end of the progression. And then we hear B flat, which is the minor 7th of that chord, which is still kind of a chord tone. It's fine. But it's the one where that note rubs the hardest. And I really like that. So what's next? We are going to get a third verse. Very strange. So instead of having a bridge here after the second chorus, we go into another verse. And here, this works exactly the same as verse 1, except that we also hear a bass. Now, what does this do for us? Why go about doing things this way? Why, instead of going verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, bridge, chorus, why put the bridge this early and then have another verse later on in the song? It's strange. I don't really have an answer for it. On paper, this is still clearly a 3-act structure, right? So it's a relabeling, it's a peak relabeling, as we've talked about in the free episode and several times after that, right? It's a very common technique these days where we have first chorus is the first peak, bridge 1 is the second peak, and then bridge 2 is going to be our third peak. So we still have our 3 energy peaks in the song. They're just not the choruses as we would expect. So they still happen at the right moment. It's just a different section than what you would think. So that's quite strange. And also the verse 3 here is pretty low energy. So it functions, again, energy-wise, like another bridge, right? It's a new energy level that we haven't really heard before. So it works when we just look at the curve. It's just a bit strange. Why would you make that decision to put the bridge this early? I think what it does, it's got a little bit of that TikTok generation thing of get to the new bits as soon as you possibly can. Let's throw in this section before people get bored. It feels very social media songwriting, you know what I mean? And it works quite well. It's interesting to hear it. The second chorus essentially almost feels like a post-chorus because of that. So it's all weird. It's all messed up. The structure is all, the labeling is all weird. But as long as the three acts are there, it's another sign that the addiction formula is still working underneath all of this, and how creative you can get with the addiction formula if you remember this rule of peak relabeling. So let's listen to verse 3, and then we'll hear the bridge again.
Tell me what you want, maybe I was wrong. Lately that's a lot, is this what you wanted? Tell me what you need, nothing comes for free. Please just tell me what you wanted. You wanted more, but it was never enough, of course. Stop acting selfish.
Okay, sorry for breaking your flow here, in which is arguably the best moment of the song, is when we hear that second bridge. But I want to talk about this moment. It's so cool. I mean, I love that guitar coming in, setting it up, and we're already so excited for it. And then he's doing the headbanging thing, which is so fun for a pop artist to do the devil horns. It really speaks to me as a metalhead, obviously. So the second bridge pretty much works like the first bridge, but we don't have main vocals. So this is essentially a little bit like a solo or an instrumental section. We do get the backing vocals from the chorus, the ooh, 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 oohs. Those we get again. So there is a strong tie-in with that, which is cool. Because that's the first time we're hearing this bridge section with the ooh, oohs. So that's new. It's two sections mashed together. That's really cool. It also gives us some vocals that we can still hear during this. It still feels very instrumental, very solo, very guitar solo, while still having vocals in it. I'm always a big proponent, and you will hear this in all of my songs. Every section of my songs will always have vocals in them. The more commercial I'm writing, the more vocals you will have in every section. Pretty much for my pop projects, there's not going to be a single section. Like, you're never going to hear the vocalist take too much of a breath. They're going to pretty much sing from start to finish, starting in the intro and finishing in the outro. I don't really believe in instrumental sections because the second your vocals stop, the song stops speaking to you. So you need a good reason if you want to have an instrumental section in a song. We have a guitar solo that is so fun with the head banging and everything. And he's performing it in the video so believably. He's so into it, and that's so fun to see. Then we get those super messy, fuzzy guitars playing that solo. We have those hits again that we heard in Bridge 1. And then the ooh-oohs, which we can sing along to. I mean, that's so much fun. It's just such a great section. We're also going to look at the chords here, this is a new chord progression. So again, for a pop song, a lot of different chord progressions in this, a lot of unique chords. The bridge here, 6, 5, 1, and then to the 5 of the 6, which in this case here makes sense, right? It's D major going to G minor again. So here, that actually makes sense. Although, of course, the second time we hear it, that 5, that secondary dominant is not going to resolve properly. It's actually going to move upward chromatically into the 4 major again as we move into the final chorus. So let's listen to the ending of that, and then we'll come back for a wrap up here.
Of course, stop acting selfish.
Did you notice as well that the ooh-oohs are a little bit different than they were before? It doesn't actually go ooh-ooh, ooh-ooh, ooh-ooh 3 times the same thing. It's actually ooh-ooh, ooh, 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 ooh. So it's been prolonged a little bit so that it covers the entire 4 bars instead of just the first 3, and it's not as boring as hearing it 3 times over. As a sort of secondary melody, when we're switching back and forth, have a call and response, not a problem, but when we hear it by itself, it's nice that it's a little more interesting here during that bridge. Let's listen to the final chorus. Production-wise, by the way, this is exactly the same as the previous chorus. It's pretty much just doing that whole thing again of bass, drums, and vocals, and then a little bit of guitar, just basically playing a lead. I'm a big fan of that. Usually my go-to would be, big, fat, chunky power chords doubling up on the bass with the guitars. But I really like that it's not doing that. It keeps the arrangement clean. It's a more poppy thing to do while still feeling grungy and punk rock, I think. I'm a big fan of hearing the bass in rock and metal. The bass is pretty much just playing one note per bar. It's not really playing licks or anything. Again, I like how dumb, how meatheaded this whole song feels. I think it's really working in its favor. Let's finish listening to the track. And that's it. A great song by a very talented artist. Very strong visual style, as you can see. For me, the stealable technique from this clearly is the midpoint bridge. To put the bridge right before the second chorus, I think is really interesting. Something I'm certainly going to play with in future. Again, especially if a song is maybe a little bit predictable otherwise. And again, this feels quite meat-headed. So I think if it would have gone verse, chorus, it might have gone a little bit, felt a little too dull. And the dullness of it, I think, is what makes it so good, too. That's really what I like about it. But also, I really like that it kind of switches gears that early. Maybe that's what it needed. I'm not sure. I would love to hear like a different supercut of this, where it was rearranged, where it's verse, chorus. I suspect that maybe it wouldn't work as well. And not just because of the attention span thing, but also because otherwise it might have sounded a little too boring. So, cool little thing here with the midpoint bridge. And then I also love how it's being reused later. It's a bridge that we don't just hear once. We do hear it again, but again, it is kind of morphed with the chorus a little bit because of those oohs. That's just cool, man. I'm always a big fan of artists who manage to take two sections and kind of morph them together and turn that into something new. My favorite example of that we've talked about on this show here so far, I think, would probably be Free by Huntrix. I mean, what they do for their finale is just, I think, really spectacular. And it really made me rethink, oh man, I really have to rethink my structuring completely, because that was so cleverly, so creatively done, how they managed to kind of get a callback, like a nostalgic callback to all of the sections in the song, while still introducing new ideas and getting a wrap up very quickly by going through a lot of different sections. It's just so smartly done. And here it's, a little bit more subtle, not as explicit, I think, but still very, very well done. So overall, very cool song. I really like it. And with that, I'll leave you to it. If you have any thoughts, questions, or ideas, you can send them to us at stealthissong@holistic-songwriting.com. That's stealthissong@holistic-songwriting.com. Or just comment on YouTube. I usually read the comments here and we'll respond. Next episode, we are going to talk about a song that is very dear to my heart. I mean, I love this band. It's a pretty unknown band, Half Moon Run. I've seen these guys live and have like 3 albums of theirs that I'm absolutely in love with. This is a song that's called You Can Let Go. And I'm in love with this band. I think they're phenomenal, and I think they deserve more ears to listen to them. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care and stay gefährlich.